Hello, and welcome to this edition of Central Connecticut Now, where we talk to the newsmakers of our region and the people who cover them. I'm Mike Schroeder, publisher of the New Britain Herald and Bristol Press, and my guest today is James Drzwicki, our managing editor in Bristol.
Hey,
James, nice to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
There's a lot going on in Bristol.
There is. There's
a lot more than people think.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is going on right across the street from our office.
Right into downtown. Yeah.
I think the biggest construction project we've seen in a number of years.
A long time.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
So right now what they're doing is, as many people see, is they're building the hospital building, the new hospital building. That's like the first part of the plan to develop downtown, and right now they're trying to get more interest in downtown and attract people to it and stuff like that, and they're hoping that this hospital building will start all that. And they're also around where the hospital building is, which is Depot or Center Square. It changes names all the time. You'll know there's empty buildings.
Yeah.
So that's one of the projects they're also working on, is trying to get people into those empty buildings, because you have the downtown cafe, you have the Bristol Press building, which also has the nice loading dock in the back. The bike store is there
half
now.
of that,
It's
which is
half
the
of that.
old press room at the Bristol
Right.
Press.
It used to be the old imprint room on the bottom.
Yep.
And then they have the CVS, which there's
It's on the other side.
on North Main Street.
Yeah.
So they do have a couple, a husband and wife, who want to move into the CVS and do Better Half Brewing, which is a new brewery.
Yep.
So that's what the plan is right now, is to get them into that old CVS building.
Yep.
They wanted originally the Bristol Press building, but now they think the CVS building will work more for them. So, and the other empty building down there too is Supernatural, which unfortunately
that's
went
in
out
the
of
shopping
business.
center, that small shopping center, right?
No, it moved. It
Oh,
was in
yeah,
a
that's
single,
right,
Yeah,
that's
single
right.
building. So they were there for maybe a year or so. I can't really. If I got it wrong, I'm sorry.
Wasn't there long before they went out of business?
They went out of business. Yeah.
One of the more popular, which I thought was one of the more popular places in Bristol.
It had great food. You
Yeah?
know, and, it had a good quality sandwich and stuff like that. And I think downtown, that's sad that I went out of business, because there really is a market for something like that in downtown.
And you've got the chamber building.
Yep, and that's
which is
where
now empty.
Well, the one right near us.
Yeah, the old bank building.
Yep.
I don't recall which bank, but it was.
It was
Yeah. But there's a lot of little open spaces around it. Hopefully that those are going to liven up as there's more people downtown on a regular basis. Because there's going to be several hundred people in that building, I'm assuming.
Oh,
right?
yeah, in the hospital building, yes. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity in downtown, and Ken Cockayne,
Former mayor.
He knew about the opportunity down there. Zappo knows about the opportunity.
Yep.
Before that, the other mayors knew about the opportunity, but just in the last few years, we see the road getting put in, we see that building starting. So maybe
that's part of the kind of the build out of infrastructure that was kind of spurred by the hospital building.
Right.
On the corner there.
So it's looking up. So we're hoping that people will take this opportunity and bring their businesses to downtown.
Well, we have there is the new restaurant, which is right next to us.
Yeah, Pint and Plate,
and
Main Street Pint and Plate.
They're doing breakfast and lunch now, right?
Lunch and dinner.
I mean lunch and dinner.
Yeah.
But it was the Musgrove, right? Is the proprietor there?
Yeah. Who does the Parkside Cafe?
Parkside Cafe.
Yeah.
And they kind of had a menu there of after. It's a restaurant, but it's also kind of a bar, after hours, kind of after work kind of place.
Yeah, because it's kind of split, and like one side is the bar, and the other side is like where the dining area is and stuff like that. So they've been doing good business down there.
So there's a lot of little pieces to this thing, and if we've been reporting about the overall plan for what used to be the Depot Square, which is now Center
Square.
Um, and I think everybody's hope is to bring more vibrancy to downtown.
Yeah, because every city, every town wants a downtown that people can go to and enjoy. Because there's so many towns around Bristol that are doing it really well. I mean, Southington has a number of restaurants.
Yeah.
And then you have Farmington has Unionville with all their little restaurants and bars and stuff like that. So if we could have that in Bristol, that'd be a fantastic thing.
Well, that's the hope here, I think. What else is going on in Bristol? I mean, as far as we do know that these there's all kinds of stories we've done about education in town, and now all the schools are pretty much finished, right?
Yeah.
They with what were there, 2 new schools that have gone up in the last 5 years, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And so the facilities are all there. The difficulties are kind of in getting the education piece of it down. And so what are we seeing as far as changes?
In like the education?
Yeah.
Well, as many know, as Ellen Solik, who's the old superintendent,
Yes.
she's gone now. We have a new superintendent. I think one of the biggest things with education is, and everybody's done a fantastic job. Ellen did, and the new superintendent has. Everybody does a good job. But it's just keeping like students invested and keeping them on the right track. And Bristol does offer. Well, one thing that Bristol's great at is high school sports. High school sports is one of the biggest things in our town. And I think if kids get involved in that, they do better in school because they want to be on the team and all that kind of thing. But you're seeing a lot of, different things that kids could get involved in through their schools and stuff like that.
There's certainly great infrastructure in town between the schools, the Boys and Girls Club.
Boys and Girls Club is another one.
That there is a real infrastructure for kids to get taken care of and to learn. Even though things are constantly changing, demographics of this town, the age ranges of how kids are dealing with changes in the world, and so we've got a lot in town that makes a big difference. We should also talk about education and development is the Memorial Boulevard School, the old Memorial Boulevard School. And there is a big plan there to transform that iconic school on Riverside Drive. Riverside Drive.
It's a Memorial Boulevard.
Memorial Boulevard. Yeah. It's parallel to Riverside.
It's parallel to Riverside.
But what's the plan there?
Art Magnet School.
To
start doing something with that with the school. The great thing about that school is it's theater. In the past, one of the ideas for that school was to bring shows there, like concerts and stuff, to Memorial Boulevard to use their concert hall. I thought that would be a really great idea, but there's a lot of plans to make it into like an art magnet school, and I think that would work because it's such a beautiful building. It shouldn't go to waste. It shouldn't just sit there empty. I would say that's one thing I've always wanted to see is Memorial Boulevard to take off. But I always thought if you could bring concerts to downtown into the Memorial Boulevard, then you could bring people into downtown, and then they would use the restaurants and all that stuff. So, I mean, it's like you said, it's an icon of Bristol. And we've seen too many icons of Bristol go away in a few years.
Everybody keeps talking. Everybody brings up when that kind of matter comes up, the old post office. How could they have ever torn it down?
Right.
But these things do happen, but you got to move fast. Well, during the time I've been here over the last 10 years, remember the house that was where now the CVS and
That's where like Aldi's, that corner.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. That was a big, I forgot what the name of that house was. It had a name to it. But yeah, that was the thing. Move the house, stuff like that.
And the house sat there until it fell apart.
Yeah.
They
yeah.
even took the time to move it,
Away from
but
that.
it ended up on the scrap heap
Yeah.
by the time it was over with. Nobody could figure out quite how to do it.
Yeah. I mean, change is good.
Yeah.
But there is some things that I grew up in Bristol, from Bristol, and all that stuff with the schools. And one thing that I will always miss now is Miners Farm. Miners Farm is gone now.
That's just been in the last few years, though, right?
This year.
This year, yeah.
So that was another icon of Bristol. So, like farms like that.
Fortunately, they were able to. They salvaged Chippeney Golf Course.
Yeah, they got.
In the last few years because somebody, basically a white knight, came to the rescue.
Yeah, and that's a great place too, Chippeney. And that's been there forever.
Yeah.
And the other sad thing is Supernatural, Miners is gone, all that stuff. And then there was that other farm up on the Chippen, Green Acres.
Yeah.
That was another one. I think that was run by, Whit Betts was involved with that. I think
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So you see this constant changing face of Bristol, and you're sad that you lose specific icons of the town, but this development in downtown is the opportunity for the town or the city to create new icons, create new memories for the
Absolutely.
people who are growing up there.
What are people 20 years from now going to remember from their childhood?
Right.
One of the other things is, at the paper, I know that we're getting ready to do the year-end, year-forward kind of stories, and I don't know if you've already gotten some of the basics out of those as to what we're going to be looking forward to in the next year. Are there things that viewers that are talking to us now, that are watching us now, need to keep an eye out for in the next year?
Two things. So I would say, like I know I'm sounding repetitive, but development downtown.
Yep, they are going to open that building.
They're going to open that building.
And there's going to be a lot more activity downtown, that's for sure.
Yeah, and the other thing is getting ready for elections, local elections.
That's right. We're on 2-year terms, right?
Yep.
And that means just by the time you've gotten used to somebody, they're up for re-election.
Yeah.
And that means Ellen Zappa will be
rerunning
and reevaluated.
Yeah, running again. So yeah, those are probably the two big things that are coming up, especially for the city. Elections are always, a very, very busy time for the paper and for the city. As for like anybody running against Ellen, I don't know. I mean, time will tell.
There are no announced candidates, right?
No, not for that mayor. So it'd be interesting to see.
Any guesses?
No.
No.
But that's going to be a. Elections are always big in Bristol, and then the downtown development. I think the downtown development is definitely going to be something that people are going to be talking about for years and years to come as new things are added to it. Everybody has their own opinions about the downtown and what should go in there and stuff like that. But let's just hope that, we can get it. This hospital building will get the ball rolling, and we'll get
I
even
understand
more.
there's going to be a Starbucks in the lobby.
That's what I heard. Yeah, that's what I heard. That'd be great because we're right across the street.
That's well. I understand that there's also a restaurant that reopened on North Main. Oh my goodness. It had been closed for a few years. It had been there for few years.
Oh, that's the guy who owns the pizza place, LJ's.
LJ's, yeah.
Yeah, they reopened the bar over there. Yeah.
Is it the same name? Do you know offhand? Or?
I don't think so.
Okay, it was I think it was a Milestone or something.
I think it was the
like that,
Milestone, yeah. And it's sports bar.
Yeah.
You know, it's got a bunch of TVs in there. Brian Johnson, one of our reporters, he went there for the ribbon cutting and stuff
Oh,
like
good,
that.
good, good.
Yep.
Well,
So
it's inch by inch. Each of those positions need to be filled.
yeah, and these things take time. I think a lot of people think, you know, you can just, you know, do it overnight kind of idea. And I feel like, you know, you can't, but, you know, these things take time and, you know, good things, you know, come to those who wait.
Now, as far as infrastructure is concerned, you know, there were two areas that had been planned that I don't even know the status of. Was the widening or the renovation of Route 6.
Oh, Route 6, yeah.
And along with there's a reconfiguration or at least a restructuring around the west side. What's the status of those?
Okay, so Route 6 has been delayed, and the reason it's delayed is the road's getting wider, but the reason they delayed it was the work that they were contracted to do is done. But when they dug up the road, the utilities on the road, I believe, weren't deep enough, so they have to redo all those.
Oh my goodness.
So that's why it's taken more time.
That could be a problem.
Mm-hmm. I was just on that road today.
Yeah. Traffic gets tangled up around there, especially certain times of the day.
Yeah. But, you know, the great thing is, like, the police department, and if you go down that road, it's not chaotic. Yeah, it's a lot to get through and stuff, and you got to go through the cones and stuff like that. But they're really doing a great job of just making sure that that traffic moves through there with no problems. You know, it's slower, but they're doing a great job.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Do you know if there's going to be any additional, like, lights or any, when it comes right down to it, this project, was it just a widening project? Is there anything else there that's going to move traffic along?
I don't think so. I think I could be wrong, but I think basically the traffic lights and stuff like that that are there now are going to remain on the road and stuff like that. But, you know, when it's all said and done, it'll be nice, you know?
Well, we keep talking about, it seems like almost every other conversation we have, we talk about what they're going to do with the Blockbuster building.
Oh, yeah.
On the Route 6.
So the Blockbuster building is, we just recently did a story on that. Now, that building's been empty for a while.
Yeah.
You know, it's a big
Probably
space.
as long as Blockbuster's been gone, which is getting to be more and more time.
What was that, 2008, 2009?
Yeah.
Around there. So we talked to the people who own it, and they hired this guy to drive interest in it, basically. But he told us the biggest problem with that building is it's big, and a lot of stuff's going online.
Yeah.
So it's harder to get to people into these buildings because in that same plaza, there's not as big, but there's a small little building connected to that because it goes Blockbuster, Jake's Way Back, then the dentist's, and then over here is it used to be the old Pizza Hut. So that one is empty too. So they're trying to fill those spaces.
Yep.
But, you know, it's sad to see Blockbuster empty because I love Blockbuster. But I wouldn't mind if they brought back Blockbuster.
Oh my goodness.
But there's been ideas of, you know, like people on Facebook and stuff, like maybe put like a Trader Joe's in there or something that people have to go outside of Bristol to get to.
Yep.
You know, make it convenient for them. And that would be a great idea. But it's been empty for a while.
Wow. Well, we can only hope that gets filled up.
Let's hope, because down the street from that, if you go down, do you know where the old D'Angelo's it was?
Sure, yep.
The Staples building?
Yep.
That's empty now, too.
That's right. They closed it first of last year. Mid-year this year.
November.
Right?
Yeah. So that's
available.
That's available. I mean, I always said let's bring back scooters because when I was a kid growing up in Bristol, it was an arcade. And it was like upstairs was laser tag, and downstairs was like all the arcade games and stuff like that. So I was like, bring that back. Let's
bring back laser tag.
I'd go there
Oh my gosh. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? You got to start thinking out of the box for some of these places.
You do, yeah.
And it could be, there's some real opportunities here because there's the availability of decent buildings that are not just old buildings
Right.
that are dividable, that are good sized for those kind of opportunities, and we'll have to see how those go. People have got to want them.
Yeah.
People have got to want things that we don't have now, and anything can happen.
Yeah, you're right, though. I mean, like Staples, one of the reasons was, if I remember correctly, it was because one of their bigger stores, and they just weren't doing the business they usually do.
Yeah.
So if you could divide those buildings,
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
more interest would be in those
That's
buildings.
Because we turn around and we have fewer and fewer services that you need to have storefronts for.
Yeah.
The shoe guy, the dry cleaner. We've got a few of them, but we've seen a few of them leave too, or
Yeah.
close down.
Yeah.
And so the hope here is that we draw that all these new people that are going to be downtown doing one thing or another are going to have needs. And we're going to be watching those happen as this year happens. It's got to be, I think there's still some discussion about putting apartments in the old, I guess was it a Webster building at the end of Main Street?
Oh, yeah. You're talking about on the other
Yes,
end?
yeah. And the combination of live work is still what people are looking for. And with, as people see opportunities to be able to live comfortably and be able to commute reasonably, even with the extension of the busway into Bristol, that there's possibilities for people that couldn't afford to. They can afford to get what they want here rather than can't afford to live to get a living place in like perhaps Hartford or whatever. But we've still got ESPN, we've still got Bristol Hospital, we've still got plenty of people that are staying up with the times, employing plenty of people, and fortunately able to support the community and continue to support the community.
Oh, yeah.
So, and we want to go into Muzzy Fields and the reconstruction there. So, we're seeing improvements in the things that make quality of life important for everybody. So it's a good thing.
Yeah. And if anybody could do it, Bristol can do it.
There you go.
Yeah.
James, it's been a pleasure having you on the show today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
And hopefully, I'm sure you'll be back.
Oh, yeah.
And thank you for joining us for this edition of Central Connecticut Now. We hope you'll join us again when we talk to a newsmaker or one of those people that cover them for the New Britain Herald and Bristol Press.